Marcus Aurelius was one of the most powerful men alive. He had armies, palaces, servants, status, wealth, influence, the kind of external power most people spend their whole lives chasing. And yet, when he wrote privately to himself, he did not write like a man intoxicated by power. He wrote like a man trying not to be corrupted by it. That is the part of Stoicism most people miss. Stoicism is not about becoming emotionless. It's not about pretending pain does not exist. It's not about being poor, silent, passive, or detached from the world. Stoicism is the art of becoming so internally strong that money becomes a tool, health becomes a discipline, and freedom becomes something no one can take from you. And that matters today more than ever. Because a lot of people look successful on the outside but feel trapped on the inside. They have more income but more anxiety, more options but less peace, more information but worse decisions, more productivity tools but less self-control, more ambition but no inner foundation. Stoicism gives us the foundation, not as theory but as practice. So in this video, I want to show you what Stoicism actually teaches about money, health, and freedom, and how you can use it to build a stronger, calmer, and more independent life. Let's start with the biggest misunderstanding. Most people think Stoicism means not feeling anything. Something bad happens and they say, just be stoic. But that is not Stoicism. That is emotional constipation. Real Stoicism is not about suppressing emotions. It's about training your judgment before your emotions control you. The Stoics believed that the quality of your life depends less on what happens to you and more on how you interpret, respond to, and act on what happens. That does not mean life is easy. It means your response is your responsibility. At the center of Stoicism are four virtues: wisdom, courage, discipline, and justice. Wisdom means seeing clearly. Courage means doing what is right even when it is uncomfortable. Discipline means choosing your long-term good over your short-term impulse. Justice means not making your life only about yourself. That is Stoicism in simple terms. It is not a personality type. It is not an aesthetic. It is a decision-making operating system. In the first area where this operating system changes everything is money. The Stoics were not anti-money. This is important. A lot of people think spiritual wisdom means rejecting wealth. But many Stoics understood that money can be useful. Money can buy safety, it can buy time, can give you options. It can help your family, can fund your work. Money can support causes you care about. The problem is not the money. The problem is when money becomes your identity. The Stoics called money a preferred indifferent. That sounds strange, but it is powerful. It means money is preferred. It is better to have it than to not have it. But it's still indifferent to your character. Having more money does not automatically make you wise. Losing money does not actually automatically make you worthless. Money is useful, but it's not sacred. And once you understand that, you can pursue wealth without becoming possessed by it. That is the Stoic edge. The Stoic does not hate money. The Stoic hates being controlled by money. Think about the modern professional who earns money every year but feels more trapped. The salary goes up, the lifestyle goes up, the house gets bigger, the car gets better, the vacations get more expensive, but the fear also gets bigger. Now, they cannot quit. They cannot rest. They cannot take a creative risk. They cannot say no. Externally, they look rich. Internally, they are negotiating with fear every morning. That is not freedom. That is a luxury prison. And this is where Stoicism becomes extremely practical. Before you buy something, ask, is this buying freedom or Is this buying approval? Before you chase a promotion, ask, is this aligned with my values or am I just addicted to the status? Before you invest, ask, am I making a rational decision or am I trying to escape insecurity? Before you build a business, ask, is this creating independence or just a more complicated cage? Here is a simple framework. I call this Stoic Wealth Ladder. Level 1 is survival. You earn enough to cover your basic needs. Your food, shelter, transportation, safety. Level 2 is instability. You build savings, you remove the panic, you stop living one emergency away from collapse. Level 3 is optionality. You develop skills, assets, networks, and income streams that give you choices. Level 4 is independence. Your money begins buying back your time. You are no longer forced to accept every opportunity, every client, every job, every meeting, every request. Level 5 is contribution. You use your wealth not just to consume, but to create, to teach, to build, to support, and serve. That is the highest form of wealth. You are not flexing, not hoarding, not proving. Using money as a tool for a life of meaning. And here is the Stoic test. Would you still respect yourself if you lost the external thing? If the title disappeared, would you still have character? If the portfolio dropped, would you still have the discipline? If the business failed, would you still have the courage? If people stopped clapping, would you still do the work? That is the difference between wealth and dependence. Wealth gives you options. Dependence gives you anxiety. The goal is not to own nothing. The goal is to be owned by nothing. Now let's talk about health, because Stoicism has a lot to teach here, especially in a world obsessed with appearance. Many people treat health as a vanity project. Abs, jawline, skin, aesthetic body, perfect routine, and there is nothing wrong with wanting to look good, but a Stoic question is deeper. Are you building a body that serves your life? Or are you building an image that needs constant validation? The Stoics understood that the body is partly within our control and partly outside our control. You cannot fully control genetics. You cannot fully control aging. You cannot fully control illness, accidents, or the body you inherited. But you can control many of your habits: how you eat, how you sleep, how you move, how you train, how you recover, how you respond to pain, how you treat your body when nobody is watching. That is where character appears, not in the gym selfie, in a quiet decision. Going for a walk when you want to scroll, choosing sleep when your ego wants one more episode, eating food that gives you energy instead of food that keeps you numb, training when motivation is gone, stopping before excess becomes regret. Health, in the Stoic sense, is self-respect in physical form. Not obsession, not perfection, self-respect. Your body is borrowed, your habits are chosen. That line matters. Because one day, the body will change, even if you do everything right. You will age, you may get injured, you may get sick, you may lose strength. So Stoicism does not say control your body perfectly. It says do your part. That is the key. Do your part. There is a lot of peace in that. You do not need a perfect routine. You need a repeatable one. You do not need extreme discipline for 3 weeks. You need moderate discipline for many years. You do not need to punish your body. You need to partner with it. Here's the simple Stoic Health Triangle: discipline, restraint, recovery. Discipline is what you repeatedly do. You walk daily, train consistently, eat enough protein and fiber, you drink water, sleep at a regular time, build strength, get sunlight. Do the basics before you chase hacks. Restraint is what you refuse. Not every craving deserves obedience. Not every emotion needs food. Not every stressful day deserves alcohol. Not every late night is worth tomorrow's brain fog. Not every pleasure is harmless. just because it is normal. And then recovery. This is the part ambitious people often ignore. Recovery is not weakness, recovery is strategic. Sleep is not laziness, rest is not quitting. Stillness is not wasted time. A sharp mind needs a recovered body. A strong body needs a regulated nervous system. A meaningful life needs energy. So, your daily Stoic health checklist is simple. Did I move today? Did I eat a way that gives me energy? Did I sleep like tomorrow matters? Did I avoid one thing that weakens me? Did I treat my body as a partner, not as a possession? That checklist is not sexy, but it works. And most of life works the same way. The things that change your life rarely look impressive on one day. They become impressive when repeated for years. Now, let's talk about freedom. This is where Stoicism becomes life-changing because most people define freedom incorrectly. They think freedom means doing whatever they want, buying whatever they want, eating whatever they want, saying, working whenever they want, but that is not freedom. That is easily becomes slavery to impulse. The Stoics had a sharper view. Freedom is not the ability to obey every desire. Freedom is the ability to not be ruled by desire. A person can be rich and still be a slave to fear, to pleasure, to anger, to status, to comparison, to the opinion of others, a slave to their phone, to comfort, a slave to the life they built to impress people they do not even like. This is why Epictetus is so powerful. He was born enslaved, yet became one of history's great teachers of inner freedom. And his life forces us to ask an uncomfortable question. Can someone have almost nothing externally but be free internally? And can someone have almost everything externally but be trapped internally? Look around. The answer is obvious. There are people with money who cannot relax, people with status who cannot be honest, people with fame who cannot be alone, people with options who cannot make a decision, people with comfort who cannot do hard things, people with everything except command over themselves. Stoicism teaches that the first freedom is self-command, not self-expression, self-command. Can you command your attention? Can you command your appetite? Here's the modern Stoic freedom equation. Freedom equals control of attention, plus control of desire, plus control of response. Control of attention means you decide what deserves your focus. Not the algorithm, not the outrage cycle, not the group chat, not every notification, you. Control of desire means you can want something without being owned by it. You can want money without worshipping money. You can want success without sacrificing your soul. You can want health without hating your body. You can want approval without needing it to function. Control of response means there is space between what happens and what you do next. Someone insults you, you pause. The market drops, you breathe. Your video underperforms, you study. Your plan fails, you adjust. You do not collapse into reaction. You return to action. And that is power. Not loud power, quiet power, the kind of power that compounds. Now, how do we practice this? Because philosophy is useless if it only sounds good in a notebook. Here is one exercise you can use today. I call it the Control Audit. Take any problem in your life and divide it into 3 boxes. Box 1, control. Box 2, influence. Box 3, concern. Control includes your actions, effort, preparation, habits, attitude, and response. Influence includes relationships, reputation, communication, trust, positioning, and skill. Concern includes the economy, algorithms, other people's opinion, luck, timing, and the past. Most people spend their best energy in the concern box. The Stoic puts their best energy in the control box. Let's use YouTube as an example. You cannot control whether a video goes viral. You cannot control the algorithm, if someone else makes a similar video, whether the market is crowded, but you can control the title, your thumbnail, hook, storytelling, consistency, research, retention, honesty, ability to improve after every upload. And that's where freedom begins. Not when the outcome is guaranteed, but when your effort is properly aimed. The same applies to money. You cannot control the entire economy. You cannot control the inflation, the market crashes, business risk, but you can control your savings rate, your spending, your skills, your risk management, your patience, your ability to avoid stupid decisions, your willingness to keep learning. The same applies to health. You cannot control aging, but you can control today's walk. You cannot control every diagnosis, but you can control your habits. You cannot control your genetics, but you can control your environment. The same applies to freedom. You cannot control every demand on your time, but you can control what to say yes to. You cannot control every distraction, but you can control your phone settings, your schedule, and your standards. You cannot control what people think, but you can control whether you betray yourself trying to impress them. This is why Stoicism is so practical. It does not ask you to live in a cave. It asks you to live with clarity. So here are 5 Stoic rules for modern life. Rule number 1. You want less, but you build more. Desire is expensive, but a skill compounds. Most people try to solve insecurity by wanting more. More money, more attention, more validation, consumption, comparison. But the more you need externally, the more fragile you become internally. The Stoic move is different. Reduce unnecessary desire. Increase useful skill. That combination creates freedom. Rule number 2. Practice discomfort before life forces discomfort on you. Train when it is inconvenient. Save before the emergency. Fast from pleasure. Walk instead of always riding. Have hard conversations. Do difficult work. Take the stairs. Wake up when you said you would. That is not a punishment. That is preparation. Comfort is not bad, but constant comfort makes you soft. And a soft person becomes expensive to maintain. Rule number 3. Never outsource your peace. Not your income, not to your partner, not to your boss, not to social media, not to the market, not to applause, not to strangers on the internet. Enjoy praise but do not need it. Use money but do not worship it. Love people but do not make them responsible for your entire emotional stability. Build success but do not let success become your god. Rule number 4. Use death as a filter. Memento mori is often misunderstood. People think it is dark. It is not. It is clarifying. When you remember that life is short, many fake problems lose their power. The comment section matters less. Status game matters less. The petty argument matters less. The delayed dream matters more. The health you keep postponing matters more. The work you are called to do matters more. The people you love matter more. Death is not the enemy of meaning. It is the deadline that makes meaning urgent. Rule number 5. Choose the harder right over the easier wrong. That is discipline. It is not dramatic or glamorous, just the quiet moment where life splits into two. Do I spend or invest? Do I scroll or sleep? Do I complain or practice? Do I react or respond? Do I chase approval or keep my standards? Do I quit because it is hard or continue because it matters? Your future is built in those tiny private decisions. The ones nobody applauds, the ones nobody sees, the ones that do not go viral, but they compound, and eventually your life becomes the receipt of your repeated choices. Here are the actionable takeaways. The 3 Stoic questions. Ask this every morning. What is within my control today? What desire might control me if I am not careful? The difficult but important action would make me stronger. The Stoic checklist. Before big financial decisions, ask, is this buying freedom or approval? Will this make me more independent or more trapped? Am I investing in assets, skills, or status? Can I still respect myself if this fails? Does this decision reduce fear or increase dependence? The Stoic Health Checklist. Daily. Move your body. Eat for energy. Sleep like tomorrow matters. Avoid one thing that weakens you. Practice one form of discomfort. The Stoic Freedom Checklist weekly. Remove one unnecessary commitment. Reduce one recurring expense. Eliminate one distraction. Have one honest conversation. Do one difficult thing you have been avoiding. The Control Audit framework. For any problem, write 3 columns. Control your actions, your habits, your preparation, your response, your attitude, influence, trust, reputation, relationships, communication, skill level, concern, luck, timing, the past, the economy, other people's opinion, algorithms. Then put 80% of your energy into the control column. If this video helped you think differently about money, health, and freedom, I write a weekly newsletter called the Self-Improvement Saturday. It is for ambitious people building wealth, health, wisdom, and freedom through self-mastery and AI. Every Saturday, you'll get one practical essay to help you make better decisions, build better habits, and design your freer life. Join the Self-Improvement Saturday and start building a life you don't need to escape from. Just visit kevinumali.com/free. See you there.